What's up, everybody? In this video I'm going to be talking about the software features and things like that on the iPad Air 2. What you're seeing now is my display on my desk, which is connected to my iPad Air 2. This is the gold iPad Air, though the color really doesn't make a difference. I want to show you a few of the new features in the iPad Air and some of the better features in this iPad Air. So first off, one of the best features of the iPad Air is Touch ID. So you can unlock it without even typing in a passcode. I want to show you that with the iPad in front of the camera. So I'm going to bring the iPad in, and you can see it unlocks just like that. Really simple to unlock the iPad using Touch ID. Makes it much better than before. Now, if you watch a YouTube video and they tell you that Touch ID on the iPad works just as well as it does on the iPhone 5S, that's not true. In my personal experiences, I have the iPhone 5S, and the iPad Air 2 works a million times better when it comes to Touch ID than the iPhone 5S. My iPhone 5S glitches every now and again, and it won't unlock. So far, having used this for 3 weeks, I have never had to do Touch ID more than once. It works the first try every single time. So that is definitely something to love about this iPad. Touch ID is there, and it works well. Next up, if we come into the settings on this new iPad Air, you will find Passbook and Apple Pay. I haven't set that up simply because it doesn't have the NFC chip, and it's kind of pointless to have the NFC chip, but it's also kind of pointless to, not have it at the same time. It would look ridiculous. You think it's stupid when people are taking pictures with their iPad, bumping it up against the checkout desk at a Walgreens or wherever restaurants are taking it now, like Wendy's, I believe, just started taking Apple Pay. Bumping it up against the drive-thru with your iPad to pay for your sandwich is kind of ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that anybody would want to do that, but the feature is there for things like eBay. So if you use eBay, you can now pay for it. You can add a credit card. Let me show you what that screen looks like. Oh, I guess I can't easily do that. It's going to make me type in a password, which I will not do on camera. Next up, the next feature that you're going to notice right away in software that you may not have noticed on previous iPads is when you first purchase the iPad, it comes with Numbers, iTunes U, iMovie, Pages, Keynote, GarageBand. So it comes with more apps than usual, and that is something that you may or may not like, but you do get them for free now. So if you want to do spreadsheets, you've got your spreadsheet program right here, so you can do spreadsheets really easily, just like this. If you're wanting to do movie editing, you've got iMovie right here on the device. It comes pre-installed. You can add movies just by tapping the plus button. You can create movies and trailers on your tablet. Really easy to do that. It's got a great UI. I'll go ahead and give you a demo of a movie. So I can pick from a theme if I want to, and I can play this theme and see what it'll be like. It comes with audio. It has pretty much everything that you need to create a movie, so it's got all of it right there for you. You can pick your theme, you can create it. Super easy to do. It also comes with Pages. So if you've never used Pages, Pages is the equivalent to Word. And for the iPad, I personally like Pages. I think Pages is great. Keynote, I absolutely love Keynote. You can scroll through a wide variety of presentation styles, and you can also now do 16 by 9 presentations as well. So if you want to do a 16 by 9 Keynote presentation, that's what it looks like. I actually have one here, and if I tap on it, you will see that it takes up the entire 16:9 display you're looking at. Now, what's interesting about when I play a slideshow is this is my presenter notes right here, so I actually get something different when connected to an Apple TV, but that is not about iPad software, so we're going to continue. If it's not connected to the Apple TV, that's exactly what I see. I see exactly what you see on that display when it's not connected to an Apple TV. The next software feature that you're going to notice right away, I want to make sure that I have the camera covered when I open it up. Let's open up the camera, and there we go. So here you can see the setup in the studio. Here I've got the DSLR camera up there. You can see that recording. And it's set for slow-mo right now. So I can now record slow motion videos just like you can on the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus, as well as the 5S, all of which do the slow-mo videos. This is virtually the same camera that you will find in an iPhone 5S, though. This does not do 240 frames a second. It only does 120 frames per second slow-mo video. It also has a new iOS 8 feature that is time-lapse, so if you are recording and you want to do a time-lapse, you can do a time-lapse just like this. Really simple to do a time-lapse. If we scroll down to the bottom, this is another iOS 8 feature. You can now do a panorama of the room. You can see I've got the Apple logo there on the wall. If you want to do a panorama, you can do a panorama, but again, I really don't think that many people are going to want to do a panorama on their iPad. So another feature that has been added to iPads and has been there since iOS 7 is HDR, but HDR is there, and you can also do timed photography, which is a feature of iOS 8. So that is the changes to the camera. They did add, of course, the 8 megapixel camera on the back, which is relatively better than the 5 megapixel camera on the iPad Air first generation and the iPad Mini's camera. So the camera in the iPad 3 was 5 megapixels, and all the way up to the Air was 5 megapixels. So this is the first real improvement since the iPad 3. So it's a good camera. The one on the front has been updated as well. So if we do the front-facing camera, I'm going to go ahead and flip it. We're now looking at the front-facing camera. This is a 720p camera. If we go to video, this camera does take 720p videos. So that's definitely a good thing. Another thing that I want to point out about the iPad Air 2, this is a feature only found on the iPad Air 2, but they removed the orientation lock, which is kind of helpful, or the mute switch, whichever one you happen to have it set for. I always set mine for the mute switch, so that I can quickly mute the iPad when I throw it in a laptop case and I'm headed somewhere. I'm headed to a place where I need to mute it. Say you're headed to church and you need to mute it. That was always really simple. You just flicked a switch and you knew it was off. Now it is actually a visual toggle under the Control Center. So if I open up Control Center, I now have a toggle for display. So now if I turn my iPad, it's not going to turn, and you can see the indicator up in the top corner. And if I turn that off, you'll see the iPad will now rotate. So that is the thingy there, and it also does do the volume as well. Processing speed and processor-wise, I definitely think that this iPad is extremely fast. It loads things very well. In comparison to the first-gen iPad Air, it's not that much faster than the original iPad Air, but it is a good bit faster than the iPad Mini, first-generation iPad Mini. The previous gen iPad Air is definitely going to be just fine. If you're coming from an iPad 3, an iPad 2, 3, this is going to feel a lot faster. I can tell you from experience, this is a lot faster than the iPad 3. So if you're planning on coming from the iPad 3, you're going to be so much happier with speed and performance on this iPad. So that is a quick look at the software on the iPad, and that is pretty much it for this video. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.